And we are recording. Welcome to the evening of Python coding. This is a meeting that happens once a month, and we always show some Python related tool or library. Today, I'm very pleased to have Alex with us. And Alex has been actually, he's the organizer of the DC Python meetup. I actually work for him here. So I'm pleased to have him here. So
Thank you.
um, Beyond that, he actually does some other things, but this is not what he's going to talk about. He's very much known for the library called Pillow, which he actually gave a talk in the past year. But this is not what he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about django-mongodb backend. And MongoDB is a very interesting database, and I'll let Alex talk about it.
Thank you, Jacob. I'm Alex from DC Python, Python Pillow, and now MongoDB, where I'm a senior software engineer on the database experience team. This talk covers building Django applications on MongoDB. I've been waiting to talk about this for a long time. I've been at MongoDB for about a year and a half, working on this the entire time, during which time we went to our GA release, and here it is. So we're using the latest version, which uses the latest version of Django. No semantic versioning for our library, or at least we match Django's major and minor version numbers, but not the patch number. So our patch numbers may be different, but in general, Django 6, Django MongoDB backend 6. So open source, we're on PyPy. If you can't wait, you can pip install Django MongoDB backend right now. And tonight, we'll talk about 10 different things. The first two things, we're going to install the library and start the project. And then we're going to start MongoDB locally. You can also run it on Atlas, which is their free service, which I do encourage you to sign up for and get a free tier cluster. I've moved my site to aClarkNet to MongoDB after working there for probably, I forget when, I think I did at the beginning of this year. So that was a big step. Got rid of some AWS resources in the process, saved a little bit of money.
Can you stop here, for example, if there's free stuff people should know about it? So Atlas used to be paid, as far as I know. Something changed recently, or maybe I misunderstood something?
You can go to Atlas and sign up and use the free tier. So it's like AWS's free tier stuff.
Okay.
So create an account and just use the free tier, and it's called M0.
Okay, thank you for telling us. This is the free stuff is always welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, my boss just pointed out that you get a lot with that free cluster. Forget what he mentioned. Maybe auto embedding, but don't quote me on that. Okay, so we'll beat the library. We'll say why use MongoDB. Jacob could probably help with that. We'll get into some of the specifics of the Mongo-ish features for Mongo-specific features for Django with Django MongoDB backend. Oops, sorry. We will talk about querying, which is Django, and aggregation, which is probably both Django and MongoDB. Indexes and unique constraints. Yeah, a lot of these are Django, but they have their MongoDB counterparts. In the most recent release, we did MongoDB's queryable encryption feature, which is an enterprise encryption at rest feature that I spent a lot of time working on. We added GeoDjango support, support for polymorphism, so lots of stuff in there. We'll talk about limitations, and then we'll give you some resources to go start using this on your own. I hope everyone downloads and uses this. It's been a big part of my life. I hope to see it do really well. And we've got the Django polls app in MongoDB at the end. Okay, so you pip install it, as I said, and you can target a specific version. If you just do pip install, you'll get the latest, and you'll get Django with that, the latest Django. So if you just pip install, that's the first step. Now, when you start a project, you can use Django to start project, but our template does a lot of Mongo stuff for you, handles all initial configuration, creates a host setting with MongoDB URI in it, sets the default auto field to object ID auto field, installs custom app configs that also set object ID auto field because you can't have integer primary keys in MongoDB. Then it also sets migration modules, which for any app with migrations, you will need to regenerate the migrations in MongoDB. So we try to make this easier for you by providing this template, and I'll demo at some point that. Then lastly, there's a Mongo specific Django router that routes away from embedded documents, because embedded documents, aren't collections in MongoDB, so they can't be treated like tables. So the database routers in Django, not my favorite thing, but they do provide an important feature. So we're going to do a sidebar here, because when I was putting this talk together, for whatever reason, decided to propose run start project to create my demo. And I noticed this blank situation going on here. So I had to take a second to figure out what was going on here. Anybody want to guess? Any Django heads out there? I didn't know. I may have known this, or I may have forgotten it, but as it turns out, when you create a template for Django's start project, it knows about which files it should do, string interpolation and replace things. And for most files, especially if they have a file extension, sometimes they don't. So that's what this, that's what that output is about. So I felt better just looking that up. It's not MongoDB specific. It's just something that I thought was interesting, and it came up during the preparing this talk. So, oh, by the way, this is AI assisted. I used augment code to write this, which for those consuming the AI Kool-Aid, no, it doesn't make it necessarily easier. It just gives you more power to do a variety of things. So I picked to run Mongo for this. I'm not going to do Atlas. You can do Atlas by, as I said, creating a free account, and then you get the URI from Atlas, and then you can copy and paste it into your terminal and have Django just run off Atlas. But we're going to do local for this talk, and we're going to use MongoDB Runner, which is there's a team at MongoDB that is supporting this, and we just switched our CI from MongoDB orchestration to MongoDB Runner, and it's I find it to be convenient for running local Mongos. There's a variety of different ways you could run MongoDB local. You can brew install. You can run standalone or replica set with this, and sharded clusters. So and it makes it fairly convenient to do all that. You can, I recommend you get Mongo Shell as well. It does the same, there's a graphical database viewer called Compass that I'm going to use for the talk, but you could also use the command line Mongo Shell. And you give it a URI, and it connects to your database. You can do scripting with it, so that's handy as well. So MongoDB URI is an environment variable that is, I think, mostly convention. The project template that we provided does not look for it. So, but I, in my projects, use it. So I want to be able to set the MongoDB URI in my shell, run Django, and have the settings make use of that. So that's what you see here.
Before you run away, allow me to add something. The MongoDB URI is basically the connection string to your database. It's like
correct. And in this example, I look for it, or I fall back to the default port and localhost. So it's just a convenience preference of mine. So let's see. Okay, so putting this all together, another thing I came across or been using for at least the past year or so seriously is just file instead of make files. It's a task runner. I use it all over the place. I used it for this talk. You guys have the repo for this talk. I think I sent it to Jacob. So you'll see the just file in the repo, and we're going to use it in a terminal here. And that's a good question. Person with the same last name as me. I went through a makefile phase that was very long and just trying to get makefile to do every single thing. And then I just needed to make some change and stop using make for a while. So just file seems to do everything that you need for a task runner and has a lot of nice features. And I've just find myself reaching for it and using it for projects. And you'll see in a second. I didn't expect to like it, I guess, but okay. So in here, I call this example is old. I need to update this. I call the thing that I showed everyone back in the previous slide that calls the template with the URL to the template. So at one point I had local templates that I got rid of. Then I do a run server. And so what you see here is just automation of the process I talked about, where I just want to set the MongoDB URI environment variable and run Django. So this automates that stuff, and as well as drop. Sometimes you want to drop the database. Okay, so as I said, been working on this, continue to work on this library. Very excited about the library and hope folks find and use it. It's built on the PyMongo driver. We track 5, 2, and 6. And we are a first-class Django database backend, meaning that you're not calling out to MongoDB. You're using a database backend of not supported by Django, but it's official for MongoDB, and we're in Django's third-party database backends list, which was a big step for us. So if you don't know anything about Django database backends, they're complex. There's a lot to it, and in our case, we're going to translate the object relational model to MQL and then call MQL and then run MQL for the user. And then outputs the result. We'll take a look at some MQL from a query set. Any Django people here, by the way? Just curious. All right, so this is an example of a query string. And you can see this is MQL that you're looking at here. This is the equivalent of Learning Django is cool. The equivalent of, an SQL query. Django or Mongo also has an explain feature that will tell you what it's doing with that query. And at this point, we're going to go jump to the terminal. And I should say that thank you, Jacob, because I loved preparing this talk. I learned a lot of stuff, one of which is to use IPython. I found myself cutting and pasting, and Django's REPL wasn't working, so I added IPython, and I'm not a regular IPython user. So the aforementioned just file with all the stuff in it, and I want to, because I'm going to show you this example, I'm going to start the project, so I want to run start project. And J is just my alias for just. So this, let's take a look at this real quick before we run it. So we are going to start the project by calling start project with the project template. We're going to swap out we're going to update settings to include MongoDB URI. Then we're going to install IPython. So that's what we're doing now. Actually, I don't remember. One sec. I just want like a clean room experience, and I don't remember whether I think I want to start a virtual app and then run just. So I'm in a new virtual app, and I'm going to start project.
You're traditional. You're still using virtual env. Everyone moved to UV recently.
My virtual env may have been created. Actually, it's funny that you say that. Let's see which. Yeah, it is UV. So there you go.
It's fast. It's fast and it's good.
So we started the project, and now I can, because I have a project running, I can drop into the shell, and we're again going to look at shell, and that is going to call this URI function in the just file that takes care of running MongoDB runner. So MongoDB runner, as I said, if you npm install it, you have it available. I killed them all before we started this, so there's nothing running. And now I'm going to just shell and see what we get. So it should take a minute because it's going to start a MongoDB. Okay, so it needs Django. I started the project. Maybe I need to install the latest. Okay, so here's our shell, and as you remember, I copied that stuff and wanted to show it off in the terminal. And so here's our query string. I'm doing this because I can't see the bottom of my screen. So query string there, or excuse me, query set, another query set here. This content type we don't really need. But what I showed in the slide is this query set, query string call that prints the SQL, which is kind of cool. So in this case, we're using a MongoDB aggregation pipeline, and the MQL is a match operator, and where the arguments to the match operator are the app label off. So that is can be helpful to understand what MongoDB is doing. go back to how do I? Sorry, I lost my slides. Oh, there. Okay, so that's that example. So another thing that gave me pause when I was putting this together was the primary keys, which are not integers; they are object IDs, and in Django object ID auto fields. And I took a second to look at the other options in other databases. So like Postgres, you get big auto field, and you both of the what I found most interesting is both of object ID autofill and big autofill will increment automatically, but in Mongo's case, it's not exactly because of MongoDB's server limitations. It's not as precise. So I just thought that detail was interesting. That you have UUID field, which can be a primary key. I'm not sure if that's database specific or what, but so this is where object ID autofill fits into the Django universe. And see what we're up here.
It's very useful, but it's also very confusing.
What?
The ID field.
Oh, yeah.
In Django, because it's useful because you have a unique ID for any record that you can access. But every doc, the records in MongoDB are called docs because they're like it's a tree. Basically it's a dictionary on its own. But this is very useful. But then when you start copying those records between tables are called collections in MongoDB. When you start doing those, then you can have those IDs they don't populate always a new one. They will copy the old ID as if it's like this, so they're not really unique. You can have duplicates of those. This is as far as I remember, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. Yes, this is for millions of storing millions of huge databases that process millions of records. Yes, that's what MongoDB is for. Object auto ID field is a 12-byte BSON, which is binary JSON. Object ID composed of a 4-byte Unix timestamp, prefix, 5 bytes of randomness, and a 3-byte counter. So it is. That's why I say it sorts approximately chronologically. And I mentioned that again because this is what the template provides for you, because you have to override Django's defaults, which set big auto ID. So a lot of what we're doing in the template is unsetting Django defaults or Mongo-ifying those settings. And again, a repeat of what I think I touched on earlier, which is that for apps that have migrations that need to have new migrations that need to have a auto field set, we're going to make custom app configs and then install them with this syntax. And this is stuff that you don't have to think about with the template. You might want to know what's going on, but to get started with MongoDB and Django, you don't have to know the details. So I went into a little bit more about that here. And again, here. And now we get to why MongoDB. So MongoDB is a document database. You don't need Django's migrations, but we use them for a variety of reasons. In django-mongodb-backend, so you're free to change your schema. You can do fancy stuff at scale. Jacob made I don't before this job I didn't have any or not a lot of experience with oh sorry John, let's see. Are you seeing speaker notes? What do you see? Or did I stop sharing? What's going on?
I see.
You're good. You're good. We're
Oh,
seeing your slides.
Oh, John said he wasn't seeing.
Yeah.
Maybe on his end. So I see terminal information right now, and you were on slides a minute ago.
Yeah, you were on slides before.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to kill this speaker view because it's killing me. There we go. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, why MongoDB?
Okay, great. I had speaker notes, and that's why I wasn't able to go back and forth. So you get MongoDB specific features if you use the MongoDB backend. You could do MQL if you need to with the raw aggregate method, and it's officially maintained by MongoDB. So a lot of this is similar to Django, and will just work. So object ID being the big change, and that needs to be accounted for. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly because I want to get to the demo where we can see more of it. And
do you have nested things inside the demo? Like
I do, yes.
Perfect. Because this is the power of MongoDB. MongoDB is great with this.
Right. So, and here you can see starting to use some of the MongoDB specific fields. These are just general examples, and I'm going to do the polls app demo shortly. Querying, all the same as Django, raw aggregate, as I said, query set method that you can call with MQL. And how to create indexes, similar or same as Django, similar if not the same as Django in most cases. Unique constraints, I can't recall if that is database specific or not, but there's an example of that. Polymorphic embedded models is a good one. It's embedding different model types. So like you could say, give me a patient record with a bunch of, you can embed things of similar types. That was the first implementation, and you can, as of 603, do embedding of differing types, which is a nice feature. Queryable encryption, I worked on this a lot. It works. I'm not sure if anyone is using it, but as I said earlier, like we don't need migrations with MongoDB, but we rely on them for various things, and this is one of them. So, for example, if you define encrypted fields, but you don't run migrations, you could potentially be storing data that you've defined as encrypted, unencrypted, because MongoDB will just create collections automatically. The migration step creates the encrypted collection first. So I've spent some time working around or trying to make it so that you can't accidentally create unencrypted content, but there's still, because MongoDB has no schema, there's probably still ways around it if you're not paying attention. We did spatial lookups like GeoDjango. It's not a full GeoDjango implementation, but it's a good part. It's a good compromise. It makes use of the MongoDB features with MongoDB doesn't have as robust a spatial feature set, but
if it supports arrays, you can always put arrays there. There's no
Right.
problem. But probably the search is the issue, correct? Like searching for something.
well, the issue was how do we store points, I think. I don't recall the details, but I know that we
In Mongo, you just store an array. No big deal.
for spatial data.
What's spatial data? It's a vector.
Yeah, you're
So
probably
you just store the vector, but the thing is, like what you're saying, it's like location be within, distance within. So that's the thing that might be a problematic because unless you're using Atlas, and Atlas does have the proximity thing, the nearest neighbor, then I'm not sure whether this is implemented locally, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'll stop following the versions of those things.
that's
So-
what I was trying to get at. Let's look at that after. So Django admin still works. We added the object ID converter for the URLs. This is not SQL. You don't want to use foreign key. If you don't have to, you may take a performance hit with foreign key. As I said, not full GeoDjango. Schema migrations are lighter in the sense that there is no schema. Okay. All right, so back to the terminal, my favorite part. So this is a Django tutorial. It's the Django polls app tutorial, but MongoDB 5. So let's go back to the terminal and check that out. We created the project, and now I'm going to run this polls recipe, which is going to install the polls app, which I've cloned, and seed it with a bunch of data, and then we'll go take a look at that data in Compass. And it may be that it's not checked out yet. PDX is a command that I use for work. It's a utility that I've created. Ever since I've been at Mongo, I've been using command line utilities to do stuff. And there was 2 iterations: the before AI and the after AI. And DBX is an AI developed utility that I use. So I just installed the polls app, and hopefully that made it. Let's see. Oops. Okay, that's a good one. Let us, what's search impact? Let me take a look at let's stop that and try again with a replica set. I don't think that's it, but I'm gonna check it. Oops. Oh, there it is, topology. Okay, so it should be starting a replica set. And yes, it started a replica set. I don't know if that was the issue, but let's try it again. Yeah, okay, so I don't actually know why standalone can't do search index, but it appears that that is the case. And so
This is why I told you, Atlas, I thought it was paid because this was a feature I needed once. So you cannot search locally with the like nearest neighbor search or like efficient search of this is something that's I believe MongoDB is only in Atlas.
well, I mean, I'm running a local replica set instead of a standalone, and that seemed to have worked past the issue. So I'm not sure. It's certainly the case that Atlas has features that
Yeah.
that MongoDB Community Edition or whatever doesn't. The feature sets are an area of confusion, I guess, and so
Okay.
I will find out why that.
As long as it works, we don't care.
Yeah, no, it's something to clarify for sure. So I'm going to copy this URI, and then we're going to bounce over to Compass. Paste that in, see it connect, and I should have. Where's my polls at? Okay, that's strange because oh, I see. Okay, so demo. Sorry, demo. Demo is still. That's what I have to do to get it to work. Stop dash dash all. And then when I started again, replica set manually, that's why that didn't make any sense, because I think it worked with the standalone. Because before I stopped all, you could see there was two instances running. Anyway, let's just do replica set with a name, which I'm not sure how to. I think it's ID. So hopefully I created a replica set that is called demo, so that when I run the polls demo, let's see if that works. Yes, okay. So we have one instance running and it's called demo. So let's run polls again. Got new migrations, new content. I'm going to kill this one. Go back to the terminal and see the URL is. Connection. Demo. Okay, there we go. So now we can look at the data and what it looks like in MongoDB. We can also look at it.
Well, Alex, wait a second with this. Show them how things expand and explain to them why are they seeing this the way they are seeing it. Like what's the underscore ID and stuff like this.
Right. So this is the demo app table, if you will. So here's all the standard Django collections. And here you have the app polls question. And if we expand all, as Jacob suggests, so there's an expand all. Well, just so this is nested, our embedded data, and it'll become more clear. Let me actually skip to the web part first. That may make it clear. And to do that, I will run server and open the server. Would have gotten a, sorry, let me create a super user. So that's the admin. Oh, that repeated calls to poll were not, they created a URL entry for each one. That's why there's 4 poll URLs, duplicate poll URLs. Anyway, so here's the app. What's your favorite Python web framework? Django, vote, 1 vote. So now we can go back to Compass and see if my vote is in here. And yes, we tallied my vote. So that is the polls demo. I want to show.
You should show them a complex query, like an aggregation or something like this.
Yeah, for sure. And I also want to show, here's what I'm going to do at this point. That is that's the talk slides material, and I have a couple like surprise demos that show more that I couldn't fit into the talk, but I can do with my work program. So let's stop that one, and let's do queryable encryption and see if we can show that, because this is all automation, building dependencies and stuff, and hopefully I'll get to show off encrypted data in Compass, created with a management command, and then we can take a look at some complex aggregations. And the last thing I will mention is, let me go back to the slides. We could do Atlas search if we had access. Oh, that's also why that we got that error. I think it didn't fall back correctly or something. So in resources here, you'll see this Django-MongodB extensions, which is a library that we released that has the Django debug toolbar, but an MQL panel instead of an SQL panel. So you can install Django debug toolbar and install this library and use its MQL panel. And I'm going to show that off in a second. Okay, so we use DBX here to create a queryable encryption project, and that project's called Bold Owl. I'm going to use that. I just want to see the management commands, and I have a medical records here. So I'm going to create patients 100. All right, so it worked. So you can see I didn't run migrations, and it wouldn't let me. But that's that management. That's what I was trying to say before. I told my management command to error if there were no encrypted collections. But if you don't, you just get the data in there, and it's not encrypted. So it's a few steps to make sure you're actually deploying encrypted stuff. So let me see if I can run it. That may not have been the encrypted migrations. Let's see. Uh, let me fall back to let's skip the QE for a second. I'll go back to it and just add a project, and I'll go show you DBX extensions. There we go. Okay, so Django admin, no apps installed, and here's the MQL panel. So you can see for each of these requests, we can look at the query, and we can look at the explain output. And so, Jacob, I think that is close to a complex aggregation. I like to go into and so to wrap it up, you can go read the docs. You can go look at our source. You can use the project template, most importantly, if you're going to start a project. You can get a free atlas and run your Django site on it, which I'm doing. You can use MongoDB Runner to run Mongo. You can use the extensions to get the MQL panel, and you can check out these slides. I hope that was helpful, but most of that went well. There were a couple things that didn't.
No, it's a live demo. It went well. Don't worry. I'm actually before that, guys. It's open for questions. If you have any questions that you want to be recorded. But first of all, wait. Before we go into questions, we want to thank you. So make some noises. Sorry, not raise hands. There's the clapping thingy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Um.
Good times. Adam has a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Adam?
Sorry, I was trying to clap actually.
I'll take that.
Oh yeah, I was also So the MongoDB is very powerful because there's something that it doesn't do like other databases. Like it hosts the documents that it hosts, which is the record that is actually an entire dictionary, and you can nest like dictionary within dictionary, list within dictionary, and so on. There's only one limitation: the size of the document. It cannot be more than 60 megabytes. So be careful there. But
That's true.
When you do your application, can you show something which is unconventional that you can do in Django with your backend that you cannot do, let's say, with a SQL one, or at least cannot do easily?
I mean, the queryable encryption would probably be, or actually Atlas features would probably be auto embeddings and stuff. I'll have to do that in the next talk.
I know. I was hoping something much simpler, like show the nesting, but like the document, like an array within the document or stuff like this. But actually, you have one. Come to figure out, you have the geo thing that you have in the demo. This is something you won't have in other databases.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I need to look that up.
Guys, you have any questions? It's your time. Ask questions. Anyone? Okay, I'll ask a question to start the discussion. Maybe they'll wake up.
Okay.
So what's the feature you like most when you're using the MongoDB backend for Django?
Yeah, it's funny. To me, it's always just been the novelty that this is a database that has not been supported, and now it has official support. And I picture folks that maybe have apps that were, sidecarring or something, being able to take advantage of the first class backend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so, or rather, I would say, and then beyond that, maybe just scale, to taking advantage of some scale feature sharding or something with a big app. We'll see.
And I have another question. It's like, how does the MongoDB handle the fact that, are there any restrictions? This is my question, basically. How does it handle the fact that the collection in MongoDB, the collection is like a table in SQL, or the closest thing there is. So how does it handle the fact that collection can handle different types of data? Like you can have different records that look entirely different, like structure-wise, or it's basically different dictionaries, and it can be all live in the same collection. How does Django handle this?
that has come up, and I think we call that like sparse data, or you can certainly surprise Django. And so you have this freedom to, not run migrations, to just go, but it won't handle, there are things that it won't handle. So you still have to treat MongoDB as if it is relational at this point. So like I said, we support migrations, and the migrations serve different purposes, mostly, creating collections and that sort of thing. So, but so you want to plan your, application very similar to relational, and then find the areas where the non-relational aspect is an advantage.
Okay, so there's still a lot to explore there.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, any other questions by anyone? Guys, you can ask basic questions about Mongo as well. Everyone's a genius here. They know everything. No questions, apparently. We're amongst geniuses. Well, I'm not. Guys, if there will be no more questions, then I'll move on to the next part of the meetup, but I'll go questions going once.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. It's a very good presentation. I
thank
gave you a little bit along the way. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, questions going once. Questions going twice. Questions going 3 times. So no more questions. In that case, I ask everyone make some noise. Thank Alex for giving a very nice talk and opening up Django for us, a very nice database. I like Mongo. I plug in clinical trials there, which is very, very useful sometimes. In a relational database, it would have been a mess. In Mongo, you can do wonders with it. So it's great from this perspective. And don't go away. I'm going to stop the recording. We're not stopping the meeting, but I'm stopping the recording.